I sometimes wonder what it would have been like to be a king in the medieval times. Back then, people had kings instead of presidents that we have today. They are both important, but they are different in many ways. First, kings became kings if they were born in the royal family. People had to obey them, and they could not choose a new leader. Modern leaders are different. People vote and decide who will be the leader. This helps people feel proud because they can help choose. Next, kings ruled for a very long time. They often stayed leaders for their whole life. Modern leaders only lead for a short time. After that, people vote again. This can bring new ideas and better results for the country. Finally, kings were very powerful. People thought they were special and everyone had to obey their rules. Some people even admire them like heroes. Modern leaders still lead, but they must follow rules too. They work with others to protect the people and make better choices for the country. To wrap up, kings and pharaohs and modern leaders are both leaders, but they are not the same. They are different in how they become leaders, how long they rule, and how they use their power. I think modern leaders are better because people can choose them and share ideas. Reading 2. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live under a king or a pharaoh instead of a modern leader? Although both kings and modern leaders guide their nations, they are very different in how they are chosen, how long they rule, and how they use their power. I will discuss the differences in this essay. First, kings and pharaohs became leaders in a very different way from modern leaders. In the past, kings and pharaohs were usually born into royal families, so they did not have to earn their position. People had no choice in who ruled them. On the other hand, modern leaders such as presidents or prime ministers are elected through voting. Another major difference is how long they stay in power. Kings and pharaohs often ruled for their entire lives. Once they became rulers, they stayed in control until they died. In contrast, modern leaders serve for a limited amount of time, called a term. After their term ends, people vote again, and a new leader can be chosen. Finally, kings and pharaohs had much more power than modern leaders. They could make laws on their own, and people were expected to obey without question. Some pharaohs were even believed to be gods. However, modern leaders must follow laws and work with other parts of the government. Their power is limited, and they must consider the needs and opinions of the people they serve. In conclusion, while both pharaohs and modern leaders are responsible for leading a country, they differ greatly in how they are chosen, how long they rule, and how much power they have. Today's systems give people more freedom and a voice in leadership. Because of this, modern leadership allows for a fairer way of governing a country. Throughout history, different systems of leadership have shaped how countries are governed. In the past, emperors ruled vast empires with great authority, while today many nations are led by prime ministers within democratic systems. Although both emperors and prime ministers serve as leaders, they differ significantly in how they are chosen, how long they remain in power, and the extent of their authority. First, emperors and prime ministers are selected through very different processes. Emperors typically inherit their position, meaning leadership is passed down through royal families. This system does not involve the choice of the people. In contrast, prime ministers are chosen through a democratic process. Citizens vote for representatives, and these representatives select the prime minister. As a result, modern leadership allows people to participate in choosing who governs them. Second, the length of time each leader remains in power is another key difference. Emperors often rule for life, maintaining control until death or removal. This can result in long periods under one ruler. On the other hand, prime ministers serve for limited terms and must maintain the support of the government. If they lose support, they can be replaced, allowing for change and new leadership over time. Finally, emperors and prime ministers differ greatly in the amount of power they hold. Emperors usually have absolute power, meaning they can make decisions independently and control many aspects of the country. In contrast, prime ministers have limited authority. They must follow laws and work together with other members of the government, such as parliament. This system helps ensure that power is shared and balanced. In summary, while both emperors and prime ministers are responsible for leading their countries, they differ in how they are chosen, how long they rule, and how much power they have. Modern systems led by prime ministers provide greater balance and allow citizens to have a voice in government. For this reason, democratic leadership is often considered a more fair and effective system.